Ambassador Lisa Harding stood before the Galactic Council chamber, her hands gripping the sides of the speaking platform. Around her, representatives from 847 different species filled the massive circular room. Some sat in chairs, others floated in special containers filled with liquid, and a few existed as clouds of glowing gas contained in energy fields. The chamber smelled strange, a mixture of atmospheres that the ventilation system tried to balance for everyone's comfort. Lisa had been Earth's ambassador for 6 years now. She had given speeches in this chamber dozens of times, always with the same result. Today would probably be no different, but she had to try one more time. "Honored members of the council," she began. Her voice carried through translation devices that converted her words into hundreds of languages simultaneously. "I stand before you again to address the unfair treatment of humanity by council-sanctioned trade vessels." A low humming sound filled the chamber. Lisa recognized it as the Zenth way of showing boredom. The Zenth were large creatures, almost twice the size of humans, with 4 arms and scales that shifted colors based on their mood. They were also the most powerful military force in the council. "For the past 5 years," Lisa continued, "alien companies have been extracting rare minerals from Earth's asteroid belt. They pay us almost nothing for these resources. Meanwhile, they sell us technology that is outdated by council standards. When we protest, we are told that we are a junior species and should be grateful for any attention at all." One of the council elders, a being that looked like a floating jellyfish made of crystal, spoke through its translator. "Ambassador Harding, this matter has been discussed many times. Humanity joined the council only 73 years ago. You are indeed a junior species. The trade agreements are standard for your level." Lisa felt her frustration growing. "Standard for our level? We've seen the agreements that other species received when they joined. Ours are far worse. And every time we develop new technology, council inspectors find reasons to shut down our research. You're keeping us weak on purpose." The chamber erupted in various sounds. Some species clicked in disapproval, others released puffs of colored smoke, and the Zenth hummed even louder. The crystal jellyfish elder raised several of its tentacles for silence. "You make serious accusations, Ambassador. The council inspections are for everyone's safety. Your species has shown aggressive tendencies in your past. We must be cautious." Lisa wanted to shout, to tell them that humanity's wars were centuries behind them, but she knew it wouldn't matter. She had made these arguments before. She gave her prepared closing statement and returned to her seat, knowing nothing would change. Back on Earth, President Ben Callahan watched the council session through a video feed in the Oval Office. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had once designed spacecraft engines before entering politics. He understood how technology worked, and he understood when someone was being cheated. Commander Jake Morrison sat across from him. Jake was the chief military advisor, a man who had spent 30 years in Earth's space forces. His face was weathered and serious, marked by countless hours in spacecraft and on distant colonies. "They dismissed her again," Ben said, turning off the screen. Jake nodded. "They always do, and now they want to send an inspection fleet to Mars. They're calling it a routine check of our military installations, but we both know what it really is. Intimidation," Ben said. "They want to remind us who's in charge." Jake pulled up a holographic display showing various star charts and intelligence reports. "Mr. President, we've been gathering evidence for the past 3 years. The council has been actively working against us. Every time our scientists make a breakthrough, council representatives learn about it somehow. Then suddenly there are new regulations that make our research illegal. It's not coincidence." Ben studied the evidence. He had suspected this for years, but seeing it all laid out was still shocking. "They're afraid of us." "Yes, sir. Our technology has been advancing faster than any species they've ever seen. In 73 years, we've gone from barely reaching our own moon to having colonies on 6 different star systems. That kind of growth scares them. They've had thousands of years to develop slowly. We're doing it in decades." The president stood and walked to the window, looking out at the gardens. He thought about his grandchildren and what kind of galaxy they would grow up in. Would they always be treated as inferiors? Would humanity forever be held back by aliens who feared competition? "What are our options?" he asked. Jake stood and joined him at the window. "We have 3 choices. First, we can continue as we are, accepting their rules and hoping things improve over time. Second, we can push for reforms within the council system, though that could take centuries. Third, we can leave the council entirely." "Leave?" Ben turned to face him. "Has any species ever done that?" "No, sir. Once you join, you're expected to stay. The council would see it as a rebellion. There would be consequences." Ben was quiet for a long moment. Then he made a decision that would change everything. "Set up a secure meeting with Admiral Kyle Patterson, Dr. Emma Walsh, and the Joint Chiefs. I want to know exactly what our military and scientific capabilities are. The real capabilities, not what we've shown the council." Jake's eyes widened slightly. "Sir, are you considering—" "I'm considering everything, Commander. We've been playing by their rules for 73 years, and it's gotten us nowhere. Maybe it's time we made our own rules." Over the next 2 weeks, secret meetings took place in secure locations around Earth. Admiral Kyle Patterson, the head of Earth's combined fleet, presented a surprising report. Humanity had been quietly developing technology far beyond what the Council knew about. Faster ships, better weapons, and advanced defensive systems that had been kept hidden in deep space facilities. Dr. Emma Walsh, a brilliant scientist with wild red hair and an energetic manner, explained Project Genesis. "We've been working on this for 10 years, she said, displaying holographic models of sleek spacecraft. "These ships can travel twice as fast as anything the Council has. We've also developed energy shields and weapon systems that are completely new. The Council thinks we're decades behind them. Actually, we've surpassed them in several key areas." "How is this possible?" asked Senator Kate Brennan, a political leader who had been invited to the meetings. She was a cautious woman who worried about the risks of confronting the Council. Dr. Walsh smiled. "Humanity has always been good at innovation under pressure. While the Council species became comfortable with their technology, we kept pushing boundaries. We had to work in secret, but that actually helped. We weren't bound by their regulations or their outdated thinking." President Callahan listened to all the presentations. He learned that Earth had 47 colonies, not the 25 the Council knew about. He discovered that humanity's military was far stronger than anyone suspected, and he found out that dozens of alien species secretly relied on human trade goods and innovation, even though they wouldn't admit it publicly. The decision became clear. Staying in the Council meant accepting permanent second-class status. Leaving meant uncertainty and possible war, but it also meant freedom. Then the Mars incident happened. A Council enforcement fleet, led by Zenth warships, arrived at Mars colony without warning. They demanded access to all military facilities immediately. When the colony governor asked for time to get proper authorization, the Zenth threatened to take the facilities by force. Captain Amy Rodriguez, commander of the Earthship Defiant, received emergency orders. She was a skilled officer with quick reflexes and a reputation for staying calm under pressure. Her ship raced to Mars, arriving just as the Zenth were deploying troops. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the Defiant," she broadcast on all frequencies. "You are violating Earth sovereignty. Withdraw immediately." The Zenth commander responded with arrogance. "Earth has no sovereignty. You are a Council member, which means Council forces can inspect any facility at any time, stand down, or be fired upon." Amy looked at her crew. They were ready. They trusted her. She made her decision. "Negative. Mars is human territory. Leave now, or we will defend it." For a long moment, nobody moved. Then the Zenth warships began powering up their weapons. Amy gave the order, and the Defiant lit up its defensive shields. The shields blazed bright blue, far brighter than they should have been. The Zenth commander stared in surprise. These shields were using technology he had never seen before. Before the situation could escalate further, President Callahan's voice came over the communication channels. "All Zenth vessels, this is the President of Earth. Stand down immediately. I am declaring an emergency session of the Galactic Council in 1 hour. Ambassador Harding will deliver an important message." The Zenth, confused by this unexpected move, held their position. The Defiant and the Mars Defense Forces remained on alert. Across human space, every ship and colony received coded messages to prepare for major changes. 1 hour later, Ambassador Lisa Harding walked into the council chamber for the last time. The room was packed. Everyone had heard about the Mars incident. There was tension in the air, a sense that something significant was about to happen. The news of Earth's withdrawal spread across the galaxy within hours. On hundreds of worlds, billions of beings watched in shock as the impossible happened. A species had left the Galactic Council. Nobody had done that in 12,000 years. In the council chambers on Centauri Prime, chaos reigned. The crystal jellyfish elder tried to maintain order, but representatives were screaming at each other in dozens of languages. The Zenth delegation was the loudest, demanding immediate military action against humanity. "They must be punished," roared the Zenth military commander. "If we allow this rebellion, others will follow." The council's authority will collapse, but not everyone agreed. A small furry creature from the planet Velkar spoke quietly, forcing others to listen. "Perhaps we should ask why they left. Perhaps we have not been fair." The Zenth commander turned his massive body toward the small creature. "Fair? We gave them the privilege of joining galactic civilization. They should be grateful." "Grateful?" Another voice joined in. This came from a thin, insect-like being. "My traders tell me that human goods have become essential. Our colonies rely on their medical supplies. Their entertainment is popular across 50 worlds, and their food is considered a delicacy. What happens when that all stops?" The chamber went quiet as the reality sank in. Humanity had become more important than anyone realized. While the council had been treating them as inferiors, humans had been quietly becoming essential to galactic trade. On Earth, President Ben Callahan addressed the world. Every human being on Earth and across the colonies stopped to watch. His face appeared on screens in homes, factories, ships, and military bases. "My fellow humans," he began. "Today we took a step that will define our future for generations. We left the Galactic Council because we refused to accept being treated as less than equal. This decision was not made lightly. We know there will be consequences. The Council may send forces against us. Trade will be disrupted. Life will become harder for a while." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "But we also know this. Humanity has always thrived when challenged. We have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. We explored our world when it seemed impossible. We reached the stars when others said we couldn't. And now we will prove that we can stand on our own, without masters telling us what we're allowed to achieve." Commander Jake Morrison was already implementing emergency plans. From his command center in Geneva, he coordinated a massive operation. Every human in council space needed to come home. That meant evacuating scientists, diplomats, traders, students, and workers from hundreds of alien worlds. "We have approximately 40,000 people scattered across council territory," he told his staff. "We have 72 hours before the council might try to hold them hostage. Every available ship is being redirected for evacuation." Captain Amy Rodriguez and the Defiant were assigned to the most dangerous mission. There were 3,000 human researchers on Centauri Prime itself, right in the heart of council power. She had to get them out before the council leadership decided to arrest them. The Defiant approached Centauri Prime carefully. The planet was surrounded by defensive stations and patrol ships. Amy kept all weapons powered down and shields at minimum. She didn't want to provoke an incident. "This is the Defiant requesting permission to dock at the civilian station," she broadcast. "We're here to pick up Earth citizens who wish to return home." The response was cold. "Defiant, you are ordered to leave immediately. All Earth vessels are banned from council space." Amy had expected this. "We have civilians who have done nothing wrong. They have a right to leave. We're not here for conflict. Just let us collect our people and we'll go peacefully." There was a long silence. Then a different voice came through, one that sounded tired and old. "Captain Rodriguez, this is Council Elder Vesh. You may proceed to the civilian station. You have 6 hours to gather your people and depart. If you take any hostile action, you will be destroyed." "Understood." "Elder, thank you." Amy guided her ship toward the station, keeping every movement slow and non-threatening. On the station, the human researchers and workers were already packed and ready. They had been watching the news with growing excitement and fear. Dr. Emma Walsh was among them, having been at a conference on Centauri Prime when everything happened. "Is it true?" A young scientist asked her. Are we really free from the council? Emma grinned. It's true. And wait until you see what we've been working on back home. The council has no idea what humanity is capable of. The evacuation went smoothly. Within 5 hours, all 3,000 humans were aboard the Defiant. As the ship pulled away from the station, Amy felt the tension ease slightly. One mission accomplished. Dozens more to go. But evacuations weren't the only thing happening. Admiral Kyle Patterson was preparing Earth's defenses. In secret shipyards hidden in asteroid belts and behind gas giants, the real human fleet was being revealed. Ships that looked sleek and deadly emerged from their hiding places. These were vessels built with the technology that Dr. Walsh and her team had developed. They were faster, more maneuverable, and more powerful than anything the Council had seen from humanity. Admiral Patterson stood on the bridge of the new flagship, the Independence. It was a massive ship, larger than any Earth had officially acknowledged building. Around it, dozens of other ships fell into formation. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, and something new. Small, ultra-fast fighters that could dance around enemy fire. All ships report ready, Admiral, his second-in-command reported. Kyle nodded. Good. Establish defensive positions around Earth, Mars, and the major colonies. If the Council wants a fight, they'll get one. But we're not attacking anyone. We're just making it clear that human space is now protected. Not everyone on Earth supported the decision. Senator Kate Brennan held an emergency session in the Global Assembly. She was worried about the risks. This is madness, she argued to her fellow senators. The Council has thousands of ships. They have species that have been fighting wars for millennia. We've been in space for less than a century. How can we possibly stand against them? But other voices disagreed. A senator from the Mars colony stood up. We've been standing against them every day by surviving their unfair rules. My colony produces enough food to feed a dozen alien worlds, but we're paid almost nothing for it. My people are tired of being exploited. If we have to fight for fair treatment, then we'll fight. The debate raged for hours, but in the end, the decision had already been made. The people of Earth and her colonies overwhelmingly supported independence. Whatever the cost, they were ready to pay it. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the immediate effects of Earth's withdrawal were becoming apparent. On a mining colony run by the insect-like species, workers discovered that their medical center was running out of supplies. Almost all their advanced medicines came from human manufacturers. How long until we get more? The colony director asked. The human supply ships have all turned back, the medical officer replied, and council suppliers say they don't have equivalent products. Some of these medicines are unique to human biochemistry research. The colony director felt a chill. How many colonies are in the same situation? Reports are coming in from everywhere. Hundreds of worlds relied on human goods. Food, medicine, entertainment, technology, it's all stopped. Similar reports were flooding into the council headquarters. Species that had publicly scorned humanity were privately panicking. The small furry Velcar were particularly affected. They had become dependent on human agricultural technology that could grow food in harsh environments. The insect-like species discovered that their most popular entertainment came from human creators. Without it, their people were restless and unhappy. The crystalline species found that their computer systems relied on human software updates. Even the proud Zenth were affected. Their newest warships used engine designs that were improved by human engineers. Without access to those engineers, maintenance became difficult. The council elder called an emergency session. We must discuss the situation. Earth's withdrawal is causing problems across the galaxy. Then we force them back, the Zenth commander insisted. We send our fleets to Earth and make them rejoin. And if they refuse, ask the Velcar representative. Do we go to war? Do we kill humans and destroy their worlds? That will make us look like tyrants. We are not tyrants. We are maintaining order, are we? The insect-like representative stood up. I have been reviewing the data that Ambassador Harding left. The evidence of our corruption, it is real. We have been treating humanity unfairly. We suppressed their technology because we feared it. We exploited their resources because we could. Perhaps they were right to leave. The chamber erupted again. Some species were angry, some were ashamed, and some were calculating. 3 species had already sent secret messages to Earth, asking if independent trade agreements were possible. Back on Earth, Ambassador Lisa Harding was now serving as the Director of Alien Relations. Her job had changed from begging for scraps to negotiating from strength. She sat in her office reviewing messages from alien species. We have requests from 16 different species wanting to establish direct trade relationships. Her assistant told her. They're offering much. The Zenth fleet moved through space like a massive wall of metal and power. 300 warships, each one large enough to carry thousands of troops and enough firepower to destroy a small moon. They had been the dominant military force in the galaxy for 6,000 years. Nobody had ever defeated them in open warfare. Commander Zalvek stood on the bridge of the lead warship, his forearms crossed in confidence. He was certain this would be easy. Humanity had some ships, perhaps even decent weapons, but they were children playing with toys compared to the Zenth military machine. We will reach human territory in 3 days, his tactical officer reported. Their fleet is gathering to meet us. Approximately 50 ships so far. Zalvex hummed in amusement. 50 against 300? They must know they cannot win. Perhaps they are simply making a show before surrendering. But Lieutenant Danny Chen, watching from a human listening post, saw something different. He was a young officer, barely 25, assigned to monitor alien fleet movements. What he saw made him excited and nervous. "Sir, the Zenth formation is interesting," he told his commanding officer. "They're moving in a standard intimidation pattern. Very tight formation, very predictable. They want to look powerful." His commander, an older woman named Captain Linda Gray, nodded. "Which makes them vulnerable. Admiral Patterson will be pleased. Keep tracking their every move." Danny continued his work, but his mind wandered. He thought about his family back on Earth, about his girlfriend studying to be a doctor on Mars. If this went wrong, if humanity lost, what would happen to all of them? He pushed the fear away and focused on his job. Meanwhile, Governor Lisa Parks received an urgent message at her colony on the edge of human space. The colony was called New Hope, and it was one of humanity's most distant outposts. 2,000 people lived there, mining rare minerals and conducting research. "Governor, we have multiple ships approaching," her security chief reported. "And they're not Zenth, looks like pirates or raiders," Lisa cursed. She had been a colonial administrator for 8 years and had dealt with pirate attacks before. But those had been small raids, usually scared off by the threat of council intervention. Now there was no council protection. They were on their own. "How many ships?" she asked. 6 medium-sized raiders. "They're hailing us." The pirate leader appeared on the screen. He was a member of a species called the Krell, reptilian creatures with sharp teeth and a reputation for violence. "Human colony, you will surrender all your resources to us. You have no council protection now. Nobody will help you." Lisa stood straight and spoke firmly. "This colony is defended. Leave now or face the consequences," the Krell leader laughed. "Defended by what? You have no military here. You are alone and weak." "You'd be surprised," Lisa said and cut the transmission. The truth was that New Hope did have defenses, but the council had never known about them. Hidden beneath the colony's surface were weapon systems and a small squadron of fighter craft. Humanity had been secretly arming its remote colonies for years, preparing for exactly this kind of situation. "Launch the fighters," Lisa ordered. "Show them what humans can do." 8 sleek fighters burst from hidden hangars and streaked toward the pirate ships. The Krell raiders were shocked. They had expected an easy target. Instead, they faced ships that were faster and more maneuverable than anything they had seen. The lead fighter was piloted by Captain Sam Bradley, a skilled pilot who had been stationed at New Hope for 2 years. He loved flying more than anything in the world. Now he got to prove his skills in real combat. "All right, people," he said to his squadron. "These raiders think we're easy prey. Let's educate them." The fighters danced through space, their weapons firing with precision. The pirate ships tried to respond, but they were too slow. Within minutes, 2 raider vessels were disabled and the others were fleeing. Governor Parks watched from the command center, relief washing over her. "Well done, Captain Bradley. Bring your people home." But as Sam turned his fighter back toward the colony, he saw something on his sensors. More ships were coming. Lots of them. "Governor, we have a problem. I'm reading at least 20 more vessels approaching." It looks like the pirates called for backup. Lisa's heart sank. They couldn't fight that many. But before she could order an evacuation, another group of ships appeared. These were different. They were larger, more sophisticated, and they carried markings she recognized. "Governor Parks, this is the civilian freighter Lucky Star. We heard you were having some trouble. Thought we'd lend a hand." The voice belonged to Jake Harris, a freighter captain who ran cargo between human colonies. He wasn't military, just a civilian trader. But he had brought 5 other freighter captains with him, and their ships, while not warships, were armed for protection against pirates. "Captain Harris, you don't have to do this," Lisa said. "This isn't your fight." "Sure it is," Jake replied. "We're all humans out here. We look after each other. That's what independence means, right?" The freighters and fighters together drove off the pirates. It wasn't even close. The raiders had expected scared, isolated humans. Instead, they found a community that defended itself and each other. News of the battle at New Hope spread quickly. Other colonies reported similar incidents. Pirates and opportunistic species were testing humanity, trying to see if they could take advantage of Earth's break from the Council. Each time they were surprised by how well defended humans actually were. On Earth, Commander Jake Morrison compiled reports from across human space. "Mr. President, we have over 30 incidents so far. Pirates, raiders, and in some cases species just testing our boundaries. But in every case, we've successfully defended ourselves." President Ben Callahan reviewed the reports with satisfaction. "Good. Let the galaxy see that humanity can protect itself." "What about the Zenth fleet?" "They'll reach our border in 48 hours. Admiral Patterson is ready." Admiral Kyle Patterson stood in the command center of the Independence watching the tactical displays. His fleet was positioned carefully, using the natural features of space to their advantage. Asteroid fields, gas giants, and nebulae could all be used as cover and confusion. "The Zenth expect a straightforward battle," he told his officers. "They think they'll overwhelm us with superior numbers. They're wrong. We're not going to fight fair. We're going to fight smart." While military preparations continued, Ambassador Lisa Harding was engaged in a different kind of battle. She met with representatives from alien species in secret locations, negotiating relationships that bypassed the Council entirely. One such meeting was with the Velkar, the small furry species that had shown sympathy for humanity. Their representative, a female named Kessa, spoke quietly but with determination. "My people have been unhappy with the Council for many years," Kessa said, "but we are small and weak. We couldn't challenge them alone. What humanity has done gives us hope. We want to join you, but join us how?" Lisa asked, "Not in fighting. We are not warriors. But in independence. We want to leave the Council too, and we know others who feel the same way." Lisa felt excitement and worry. If more species leave, the Council will collapse. "Perhaps," Kessa agreed. "But perhaps that is not a bad thing. The Council has become corrupt. It serves the powerful and ignores the weak. Maybe the galaxy needs something new." These conversations were happening across the galaxy. The insect-like species, the crystalline beings, and dozens of smaller civilizations were all questioning the Council's authority. Humanity's bold move had opened a door that nobody could close. Then everything changed. Commander Jake Morrison was reviewing intelligence reports when he found something alarming. He immediately called an emergency meeting with President Callahan, Admiral Patterson, and Ambassador Harding. "We have a serious problem," Jake said, displaying a classified document on the screen. "I've uncovered something in the Council's archived files. It's marked top secret, thousands of years old." "What is it?" Ben asked. "Evidence of an external threat. Something from beyond the known galaxy that the Council leadership knew about, but never told anyone. They've been using fear of this threat to maintain control, but they kept the actual information hidden." Lisa leaned forward. "What kind of threat?" "Unknown. The files are incomplete, but it's something big enough that even the Zenth are worried about it, and the Council elders decided that keeping everyone in the dark was better than preparing people for the truth." Admiral Patterson's face hardened. They used fear to control everyone, but they didn't actually do anything to address the real danger. "That's beyond corrupt. That's criminal. We need to make this public," Ben decided. "The galaxy needs to know what kind of leadership the Council has provided." Jake nodded. "I've already prepared the data package. Colonel Ryan Mitchell's Special Operations Team can broadcast it from inside Council space. They've been positioned for exactly this kind of mission." Colonel Ryan Mitchell was a quiet man who led Earth's most elite military unit. His team specialized in impossible missions, the kind that officially never happened. They were currently hiding on a small moon near Zentari Prime waiting for orders. "Colonel, you are authorized for Operation Sunlight," Jake transmitted. "Release the Council's dirty secrets to the entire galaxy." Ryan smiled. It was the kind of smile that made his enemies very nervous. 6 months had passed since Earth's declaration of independence. The galaxy looked completely different now. The old Galactic Council no longer existed in any meaningful way. Some species still met in the chambers on Zentari Prime, but nobody paid attention to their decisions anymore. Real power had shifted elsewhere. President Ben Callahan stood in the new Alliance headquarters on Earth, looking out at an incredible sight. Representatives from 43 different species filled the chamber. Some sat in chairs, others floated in tanks, and some existed as pure energy and containment fields. But unlike the old council, there was no hierarchy here. Every species had an equal voice. Ambassador Lisa Harding was now the Secretary General of the Alliance of Free Worlds. She had worked nonstop for 6 months to make this organization a reality. Today was the official founding ceremony, and she felt both exhausted and proud. "We gathered today to create something the galaxy has never seen," she announced to the assembled representatives. "An alliance based not on domination but on cooperation. Not on fear but on hope. Every member species has equal rights and equal responsibilities. We will trade fairly, defend each other, and work together to solve problems that affect us all." Kessa from the Velkar stood to speak next. Her small furry form looked tiny compared to many others in the room, but her voice carried strength. "My people were afraid for generations. We accepted mistreatment because we thought we had no choice. Earth showed us we were wrong. Today we stand as equals with everyone here. That is the gift humanity has given us." The ceremony continued with each species affirming their commitment to the Alliance principles. It was moving and historic, but Ben knew it was just the beginning. The real work of building something lasting would take years, maybe decades. Commander Jake Morrison had a different concern. He stood in a military briefing room with Admiral Kyle Patterson and the Joint Chiefs, reviewing reports from across the galaxy. "The good news is that most of the chaos is settled," Jake explained. "Trade is flowing again, actually better than before. Without council regulations and taxes, commerce is booming." "And the bad news?" Admiral Patterson asked. "There are still pockets of resistance. Some species loyal to the old council are causing trouble. Pirates are more active, taking advantage of the transition period, and the Zenth Dominion is divided. Half want to join the Alliance, half want to restore the old order." "What about the Zenth military?" asked General Helen Carter, who commanded Earth's ground forces. "That's complicated," Jake admitted. "Commander Zalvex has been communicating with us. He says he respects what we did, but he's under pressure from his government. They see joining the Alliance as admitting defeat." Admiral Patterson thought for a moment. "Then we need to find a way to let them join without losing face. They could be valuable allies if we approach this correctly." Meanwhile, Captain Amy Rodriguez was on a mission far from Earth. The Defiant led a small exploration fleet toward the edge of the galaxy, searching for evidence of the external threat that the old council had hidden. Dr. Nina Foster worked alongside Amy, studying every piece of data they collected. She had become the expedition's lead scientist, and her enthusiasm was infectious even in the face of uncertainty. "We're approaching the coordinates from the classified files," Amy's navigator reported. "The region where the council first detected the anomaly 12,000 years ago." Nina studied her instruments intently. "I'm detecting something. Energy readings that don't match anything in our database. It's faint, but it's there." Amy felt a chill. "Is it the threat? I don't know yet. But something is definitely out here. Something the council either couldn't understand or chose not to investigate properly." They proceeded carefully, scanning every sector. After 3 days of searching, they found it. A massive structure floating in the empty space between galaxies. It was clearly artificial, built by someone or something with technology far beyond anything the known species possessed. "This is incredible," Nina breathed. "This thing is millions of years old." "Maybe tens of millions, and it's still active." Amy immediately sent a report back to Earth. "Admiral, we've found something. Recommend immediate scientific mission and diplomatic preparation. If whoever built this is still around, we need to be ready to talk to them." Back on Earth, President Ben Callahan convened an emergency session of the Alliance. "We face a decision. Do we try to make contact with whatever is out there, or do we leave it alone?" The debate was intense. Some species wanted to investigate, driven by curiosity. Others wanted to stay away, fearing the unknown. The Zenth representative, who had finally agreed to attend Alliance meetings, spoke up. The old council knew about this and did nothing. That was cowardice. We should investigate. If there is a threat, we need to understand it. If there is an opportunity, we should not waste it. Lisa Harding noticed something important. For the first time, you said we when talking about the Alliance and the Zenth together. The Zenth representative, a younger officer named Commander Tevnal, nodded slowly. Perhaps it is time for the Zenth to look forward instead of backward. Perhaps the old ways were not the best ways. The decision was made. The Alliance would send a diplomatic and scientific mission to investigate the structure. But they would do it carefully, with military support in case things went wrong. Dr. Emma Walsh was ecstatic when she heard the news. This is the chance of a lifetime. Technology millions of years old. We could learn so much. She immediately began assembling a team of the best scientists from multiple species. The Alliance was proving its worth already, combining knowledge and expertise from dozens of different civilizations. Captain Sam Bradley, the fighter pilot who had distinguished himself in the battle against the Zenth, was assigned to lead the military escort. He met with Admiral Patterson for his briefing. This mission is about exploration and diplomacy, not combat, the Admiral explained. But if something goes wrong, you and your pilots are the first line of defense. Sam understood. Yes, sir. We'll keep everyone safe. Jake Harris, the freighter captain who had become something of a folk hero, was asked to join the mission as a civilian advisor. The Alliance leaders felt that having ordinary people involved, not just military and scientists, would send the right message about their intentions. Why me? Jake asked when he received the invitation. Lisa Harding smiled. Because you represent what the Alliance is about. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Plus, you have good instincts about when to trust and when to be cautious. Jake agreed, feeling both honored and nervous. His girlfriend, a medical officer named Claire Bennett, wasn't happy about him leaving on such a dangerous mission. You just can't stay out of trouble, can you? She said. But she was smiling. Somebody has to make sure the Alliance doesn't mess this up, he replied. Might as well be me. As the mission prepared to depart, other changes were happening across the galaxy. The Zenth Dominion finally made their official decision. Commander Zalvex appeared before the Alliance representing his entire species. The Zenth have been the dominant power in this galaxy for 6,000 years, he said, his four arms spread wide. We believed our way was the only way. We were wrong. Humanity defeated us not just in battle but in vision. You showed us that strength comes from cooperation, not domination. The Zenth Dominion formally requests membership in the Alliance of Free Worlds. The chamber erupted in cheers from many species. Some were surprised, others moved to tears. Lisa Harding felt a rush of emotion. This was what they had hoped for, a true coming together of different peoples. The Alliance accepts the Zenth with open arms, she announced. We are stronger together than we ever were apart. But not everyone was celebrating. In the ruins of the old council chambers, a small group of species still plotted to restore the old order. They were led by a being called Elder Voss, a member of a species that had benefited greatly from council corruption. The Alliance will fail, Voss told his followers. It is too idealistic, too naive. We must be patient. When they face their first real crisis, they will fracture. Then we will return to power. His followers agreed, but they didn't realize that Alliance intelligence had already identified them. Commander Jake Morrison had people watching the old council loyalists, ready to respond if they tried anything dangerous. The expedition to the ancient structure departed 3 months after its discovery. Captain Amy Rodriguez commanded a fleet of 20 ships representing a dozen different species. Dr. Nina Foster led the scientific team. Captain Sam Bradley and his fighter squadron provided military escort. And Jake Harris was there to represent the civilian perspective. As they traveled toward the galactic edge, the diverse crew learned to work together. Language barriers were overcome. Cultural differences were respected. And slowly, friendships formed between species that had never even met before the Alliance existed. This is what we're fighting for, Amy told her crew. Not just freedom, but the chance to build something better. Look around this ship. Humans, Velkar, Zenth, and others working side by side. The old council never achieved this. When they reached the ancient structure, everyone was awed by its scale. It was larger than Earth's moon, covered in technology that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Dr. Foster's instruments went wild with readings. This is amazing. The structure is scanning us. It's intel. The standoff lasted 3 days. The Zenth fleet sat at the edge of human space, 300 warships waiting for orders. The human fleet faced them with only 60 ships, but nobody moved. Both sides knew that the first shot would start a war that could spread across the galaxy. Commander Zalvex paced his bridge, his forearms twitching with frustration. His scales had turned dark red, showing his anger. This is humiliating. We sit here like frightened children while the council argues. His tactical officer spoke carefully. Commander, reports from home indicate serious unrest. The revelations about council secrets have damaged public trust. Perhaps patience is wise? Patience? Zalvex spun around. We are Zenth. We have ruled the galaxy for 6,000 years through strength, not patience. These humans mock us by even daring to resist. But before he could say more, his communication officer interrupted. Commander, incoming message from the council. Priority 1. The crystal jellyfish elder appeared on the screen, looking even more tired than usual. Commander Zalvex, you are ordered to engage the human fleet. The council has decided that humanity's rebellion cannot be tolerated. You will attack and force their surrender. Zalvex felt a rush of excitement. Finally, action. Understood, Elder. We will crush them. One more thing, the Elder added. Try to minimize casualties. Some council members still hope for a negotiated solution after you break their will to resist. The transmission ended. Zalvex turned to his crew. All ships, battle formation. Prepare to advance. Today we teach humanity their place in the galaxy. On the Defiant, Captain Amy Rodriguez received the alert from her sensors. They're moving. All ships are advancing on our position. She felt fear twist in her stomach, but she pushed it down. Fear was natural. Panic was not. All human vessels, this is Captain Rodriguez. Implement Defense Plan Alpha. Stay calm, follow your training, and trust in each other. Admiral Kyle Patterson watched from the Independence as the Zenth fleet began its approach. This was the moment he had prepared for. Execute the plan, he ordered. What happened next shocked the Zenth. The human fleet didn't retreat or charge forward. Instead, they scattered in all directions, moving with incredible speed. Ships that had been in neat formations suddenly became individual targets, each one racing away at velocities the Zenth had never seen from human vessels. What are they doing? Zalvex demanded. Chase them down. But chasing ships that were twice as fast as yours was impossible. The Zenth fleet tried to maintain formation while pursuing, but the humans were already leading them into a trap. Captain Sam Bradley piloted one of the new experimental fighters, a small craft that could move like a hummingbird in space. He led a squadron of 50 fighters that suddenly appeared from behind an asteroid field. All right, let's show them what speed can do, he said, grinning despite his nervousness. The fighters streaked toward the Zenth fleet, moving so fast they looked like shooting stars. They fired precise shots at the Zenth ship's engines and weapons, not trying to destroy the massive warships but to disable them. The Zenth tried to respond, but their weapons couldn't track targets moving that fast. This is impossible, Zalvex roared. How can they move like that? His tactical officer studied the readings. Commander, their technology is far more advanced than our intelligence suggested. These speeds should not be possible with their level of development. In 15 minutes of fighting, the humans disabled 20 Zenth warships without destroying a single one. The Zenth formation broke apart in confusion. They had never faced an enemy like this. Then the human cruisers appeared, using the chaos to strike at critical targets. The Defiant led a group that targeted the Zenth command ship directly. Amy knew this was risky, but Admiral Patterson had been clear. They needed to make a statement. All weapons, fire at the command ship's communication array, she ordered. Disable it, but don't destroy it. The Defiant's weapons fired with perfect accuracy. The Zenth command ship suddenly went silent, unable to coordinate with the rest of the fleet. Other human ships did the same to 3 other command vessels. Zalvex stood in darkness as his ship's systems flickered. Emergency lights came on, casting strange shadows. Damage report. Communications destroyed. Engines at 40%. Weapons offline. Commander, they could have destroyed us, but they chose not to. That realization hit Zalvex hard. The humans weren't trying to kill them. They were trying to prove a point. And they had succeeded. Admiral Patterson broadcast a message to the entire Zenth fleet. Zenth vessels, this is Admiral Patterson of Earth. We have disabled your command structure. We could destroy your fleet, but we don't want to. This war serves nobody's interests. We ask you to withdraw and allow diplomacy to solve our differences. On Earth, President Ben Callahan watched the battle unfold through video feeds. His hands were shaking even though the reports were positive. People were fighting and dying because of his decision to leave the council. The weight of that responsibility was crushing. Commander Jake Morrison stood beside him. "Sir, Admiral Patterson has achieved his objective. The Zenth are in disarray. This is the moment to offer peace." Ben nodded and activated his own communication to the Zenth fleet. "This is President Callahan of Earth. We did not want this fight. We only want to live freely and be treated with respect. You have seen that we can defend ourselves. Now let us prove we can also make peace. Return to council space. Let us talk instead of fight." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the Zenth fleet began to withdraw. Not in panic, but in order. They had been defeated, not by superior numbers or firepower, but by technology and tactics they hadn't expected. Zalvex, sitting in his damaged command ship, felt something he had never experienced before. Respect for an enemy. These humans had beaten him without destroying him. They had shown mercy when they could have shown vengeance. Perhaps they deserved to be taken seriously after all. News of the battle spread instantly. Across the galaxy, beings watched in amazement. The invincible Zenth had been defeated, not destroyed but clearly beaten, and humanity had done it with fewer ships and without killing unnecessarily. On the Velkar homeworld, Kessa celebrated with her people. "They did it!" Earth stood against the Zenth and won. We were right to join them. 4 more species announced their withdrawal from the council that day. The trickle was becoming a flood. In the council chambers on Zentari Prime, chaos reigned. Representatives were shouting, some demanding war, others calling for peace, and many simply confused about what to do. Colonel Ryan Mitchell and his special operations team were still hidden on the small moon, watching everything unfold. "Commander Morrison, recommend we extract now," Ryan transmitted. "Things are getting unstable here." "Approved," Jake responded. "Good work, Colonel. Come home." As Ryan's team prepared to leave, they monitored one more interesting development. A group of council representatives led by the Velkar, the insect-like species and several others were meeting secretly. They were planning something, and it wasn't support for the current council leadership. Dr. Emma Walsh was in her laboratory when the news of the victory came. She and her team had created the technology that made the win possible. Now she was working on something even more important. "If we're going to share our technology with allied species," she told her team, "we need to make sure it can't be stolen or misused. I want safeguards built into everything we create." Her assistant, a young scientist named Peter Cole, nodded. "Already working on it, Doctor. But there's something else we should consider. That external threat the council was hiding. We should start researching it," Emma agreed. "You're right. We can't just ignore a potential danger from beyond the galaxy. Let's see what information we can gather." Ambassador Lisa Harding was meeting with representatives from the species that had declared independence. Kessa from the Velkar was there, along with representatives from 6 other species. "We need to organize," Kessa said. "Separately, we are vulnerable. Together we can be strong." Earth should lead this new alliance, Lisa was cautious. "We don't want to replace one dominating power with another. If we create a new organization, it must be based on equality." An insect-like representative clicked in agreement. "Yes, but we need structure. We need rules and agreements. We need a way to trade fairly and defend each other." "Then let's build it together," Lisa suggested. "Not an empire or a council of elders, but a true alliance of free worlds. Every species gets an equal voice regardless of size or power." The idea excited everyone in the room. They began planning immediately, drafting principles and structures for what they would call the Alliance of Free Worlds. Meanwhile, Jake Harris, the freighter captain who had helped defend New Hope Colony, was becoming famous. Other civilian captains were calling him a hero. He found it embarrassing. "I just did what anyone would do," he told reporters. "We're all in this together. That's what being free means. We help each other." His story inspired others. Across human space, civilians were volunteering to help with defense, trade, and aid. The spirit of independence was creating a stronger sense of community than humanity had known in decades. Captain Amy Rodriguez returned to Earth as a celebrated hero. She was offered promotions and medals, but she turned most of them down. "I was